Let's talk about patch 1.1.4 coming in about 2 weeks, specifically time to kill. A few days ago, Bungie put out their weekly blog post called This Week at Bungie, or more commonly known as the TWAB. Within that blog post, they detail the changes coming in patch 1.1.4, which they refer to as the Go Fast update. One of the biggest questions from the community when asking about what this patch will mean for the game is, does this mean you're changing the time to kill? And Bungie responded by saying the following. When we looked at the core feedback on time to kill in the Crucible, we saw that it mostly stemmed from a lack of excitement or spikes of intensity you all came to expect from a Destiny experience. This came in the form of feedback that stated the game was too slow or the core loop was too stale. We agree, and we have worked with the sandbox to increase the pace of the Crucible as a whole. Josh is going to speak to all the sandbox changes here in a bit, and I won't steal his thunder. So alongside all the great changes the sandbox team has made, we're setting our sights on making the Crucible a faster, more dynamic, and more action-packed experience on the activity side. And that statement has the community in an uproar, stating that we asked as a community for a decrease in time to kill and Bungie ignored it, when in reality, time to kill will be changed. It's just not an overall time to kill decrease. We may not see a decrease in time to kill for, say, sidearms or SMGs or shotguns, but other weapon types are getting massive buffs. One prime example is pulse rifles, and I'm not just going to make that claim and be done. I'm going to go into detail as to how and why time to kill and other aspects of pulse rifles are getting buffed. Reading the TWAB, it states the following changes are coming for pulse rifles. There's an increased PvE damage for all pulses, increased rate of fire for adaptive and high impact pulses, increased base damage for adaptive, high impact, and rapid fire pulses, increased precision multiplier for lightweight pulses, and a decreased precision multiplier for adaptive pulses. These changes are vague unless you really look into it. Questions arise like what's an adaptive pulse, what pulses are high impact, which ones are rapid fire, and which ones are lightweight, and the answer to that question is all of them. Every single legendary pulse rifle currently in the game falls into one of those 4 categories. Some are adaptive, others are high impact, some are rapid fire, and the remaining pulses are lightweight. This means that in some way, shape, or form, every single pulse rifle is getting a buff in the Crucible, and every single pulse rifle is getting a damage buff in PvE. Now, as the TWAB said, adaptive and high impact pulses are getting a rate of fire increase, which this in itself increases the time to kill for 12 of the 21 legendary pulse rifles currently in the game. I'll explain how later in the video, but let's look at the possibilities here. Currently, high impact pulses, which includes Relentless, Einstein D, Disrespectful Stare, 3 Graves, Machina Day 4, and Legal Action 2 all have rate of fire currently set at 320 RPM. And for adaptive pulses, we have the Eternal Slumber, Cadenza 43, Last Perdition, Swift Ride, Inaugural Dress, and Jerem's Claw, all with the rate of fire currently set at 360 RPM. This means that each percentile they buff these weapons, the RPM will increase by 3.2 and 3.6 respectively. This in turn means that even just 1% increase of RPM increases the optimal time to kill by 1 to 2%, but we know that isn't what will occur, because a 1% buff is just going to cause an outroar, and we know that Bungie's not going to do that. But we're going to assume a flat 10% for easy numbers, but also because once I did all the math involved here, it made sense with what Bungie is aiming for, which they have stated is an optimal time to kill around the time that the precision auto rifles currently have. But like I said, I'll get into that in just a bit. Just know that we can expect the RPM of the weapons I just mentioned to increase by around 10%. The next change that was mentioned was that the high impact pulses, the adaptive pulses, and the rapid fire pulses would all see an increase to base damage. We already know what the high impact and adaptive pulses are, but the rapid fire pulses include the Time Ward Spire, Lincoln Green, Autumn Wind, Heart of Time, and Darkest Before. In the current patch, high impact pulses have a base damage of 16 damage for non-crits. Adaptive pulses have a base 15 non-crit, and rapid fire pulses have a base 13 damage non-crit. These are the numbers per bullet at an optimal range in the Crucible, just for clarification. Regardless, let's once again increase these by a little bit by a flat 10%. That puts rapid fire pulses at 14 damage per bullet when rounded, high impacts to 18, and adaptive pulses to 17 per bullet for non-crits. Now that we are here, we're going to take into account the crit multipliers in order to understand how this will affect optimal time to kill. Currently, high impact pulses have a multiplier of around 1.75 times, putting the current precision damage at 28, but with the new base damage, this goes up to 33. For rapid fire pulses, it has a multiplier of 1.4 times, putting precision hits currently at 18, but with our assumed 10% increase to base damage, that would increase it to 20. And for adaptive pulses, currently the multiplier is 1.5 times, putting headshots at 23, but once again, with our theoretical increase, this would move that to 27. Again, these are massive changes, which results in large decreases to time to kill with just this change, but we have to remember that high impact and adaptive pulses on top of the base damage increase, we will also be seeing a rate of fire increase. So once again, we will combine all these changes together at the end of the video, but there's still two other changes that will occur. The first is that light wave pulses will have their precision damage multiplier increased. Currently, that multiplier sits at around 1.48 times. It's also potentially 1.5 times because the SDUI rounds to whole numbers, but based on the numbers that I saw and tested, 1.48 times is the number I got. Regardless, with this buff, again, let's pretend it's 10%, this will increase that multiplier from 1.48 times to 1.62 times. This will happen for the lightweight archetype, and just for completion's sake, that includes Nightshade, Nurgle PL4, Agenda 5, and Infinite Paths 8. However, like I said, there were two other changes, and we just discussed the changes to lightweight, but the last change is that adaptive pulses will have a decrease to the precision damage multiplier, which with that 10% number we've been using drops the multiplier from 1.5 times to 1.3 times. Now before you freak out, that is a nerf, but as Bungie stated in the TWAB, this is still an overall buff, and now is when we bring it all together. So let's recap quickly. For high impact pulses, we will see an increase to rate of fire and base damage. For adaptive pulses, we will see an increase to rate of fire but a decrease to its crit multiplier. For rapid fire pulses, we will see an increase to base damage, and for the remaining pulses, the lightweight pulses, we will see an increase to its crit multiplier. So when you combine all these changes, this is what we get if we assume a flat 10% in both the positive and negative direction, depending on if it's an increase or decrease. For rapid fire pulses, we will see a decrease in their optimal time to kill by 10.26%. This is a good thing. Currently, the optimal time to kill, assuming perfect aim and all crits are hit, sits at 1.17 seconds. With this change, we can predict this will drop to 1.05 seconds. For high impact pulses, we will see a decrease to their time to kill by 20.47%, dropping the optimal time to kill from 1.27 seconds down to 1.01 seconds. For adaptive pulses, we will see a decrease in their time to kill by 9.42%, dropping the optimal time to kill from 1.38 seconds to 1.25 seconds, and for the remaining pulses, the lightweight pulses, the decrease to time to kill will be about 13.39%, dropping the optimal time to kill from 1.27 seconds down to 1.1 second. Now with all that said, I want to clarify something very important. This is simply a proof of concept showing that these changes will in fact drop the time to kill in the Crucible by some margin for pulse rivals. My numbers were very simply calculated. I just assumed 10%, and that's why you see such a drastic change to high impact pulses and a much smaller change to that of adaptive pulses. I can almost guarantee that Bungie won't simply use 10% across the board. We will see numbers in the single digits and other numbers much higher than 10%. All I'm saying that pulses, for example, will see a better time to kill. This will also happen for high impact scouts, this will happen for precision hand cannons, for linear fusions, as well as sniper rifles. The whole point of this video is to show that there will in fact be better time to kills in the Crucible, and the Go Fast update isn't just making your characters faster like a lot of people believe. While I'm right there with most of you on the level of frustration towards Bungie, if you're going to be mad about something, make sure you're mad for the right reasons. At the end of the day, time to kill is not the issue. Time to kill is changing, and the meta will shift in the Crucible. The difference here is that time to kill just won't change for everything, and that's something we'll have to play and experience before we can make a judgment on. There are plenty of other things that we could talk about here. We could talk about the removal of radar in the Crucible for competitive in trials. I get that that's a huge issue as well, but I wanted to focus on time to kill and specifically pulse rifles because they have the most changes. But like I said, the other weapons such as high impact scouts or the precision hand cannons, linear fusions, and snipers will see a change as well. Maybe not as drastic, but pulses are definitely going to be up there in the meta. If you want something to focus on and you want to know what you want to have, I suggest farming up precision hand cannons if you don't have them, as well as some high impact scouts, and definitely get high impact pulses. I'm just going to recap this one more time just so you guys know what the high impact pulses are. Those would be the Relentless, the Einstein D, the Disrespectful Stare, 3 Graves, Machina Day 4, and Legal Action 2. Get those weapons. They will be good in the Crucible come 1.1.4. I'm going to reiterate, the whole point of this video is to show that time to kill changes are coming. They're just not going to be as drastic as people expected. Wait until the patch comes out. At this point, just being pre-mad about the update before it's even here is just going to make you upset. But the numbers don't lie. Time to kill changes are coming. Wait for the patch. Regardless, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, hit that like button, and if you are new here, be sure to subscribe. Join the Multiplier community Discord, follow me on Twitter, do all the normal things that you would do at the end of a YouTube video. Share it if you see fit. But that's all I got for you guys today. But I'm going to get out of here. Say my name is Matt, and I'll see you guys next time.